30-mark question. So number 1, 3 points, I always do. I think that's key. So for example, the question that I've got here, which I'm going to be using, is starting with the extract, how does Shakespeare present ideas about choice in Macbeth? So for this, I would pick 3 points I want to argue about that kind of like sum up this question in 3 different ways. So I've got a wide range of things to talk about. So for example here, I've done a really quick plan before I started writing with my 3 points. And then, so I'll do 3 points and 2 paragraphs within each point. So I'll explain it through this example. So my point number 1 will be that throughout the play, every single choice that is made is Macbeth's choice. And so for my first paragraph within this point, I'm going to talk about his ambition to kill, since he's instantly pictured Duncan's death and he has the desire for it. And then for the paragraph 2 for that, I'll talk about the extract that was given, and then discuss how he knows the consequence of his actions, but his ambition, his hamartia is stronger. And then do that for each point. So you'll end up with an introduction, which I'll outline the 3 points, because you get no marks for your introduction. The introduction just wants to sum up what you're going to write about, to make it easy for you, so you can kind of go back and know what your structure is going to be. And for the examiner can see you've got 3 points that you're going to go through, which is what you need to do to get top band. So that will be the introduction, and then for your first point, 2 paragraphs, second point, 2 paragraphs, third point, 2 paragraphs. So it'll be a total of 6 paragraphs, not including your introduction. Conclusion, I'm guessing, I mean, you can do it if you want, but I don't think you need a conclusion to get top band full marks. I don't think it really adds much. I don't think you need it. So I would say no conclusion. It's a waste of time. If you've got spare time, check through. Although I don't know how you can have spare time, because I never do. Okay. Quotes, embedded quotes, all the way through. Quotes, quotes, quotes. Use your extract to your advantage, because for both of these questions, not for paper 2, but for paper 1, you will get an extract for each text. Use that. That has an abundance of quotes in it. Fill your answer with quotes. Quotes, 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 quotes. Be singing that in your head all the way through your exam. Quotes, quotes, quotes. Put your quotes in, kids. And then reference the writer all the way through, because you need to remember that whether it's a play, a novel, a novella, whatever it is, it's not real. You need to talk about the writer, the playwright, the poet, and then the effect that they want to have on the reader or the audience. Don't refer to the characters in the book, the play, as real people, because they're not. They're fiction. They're made up by the writer. So that's important. So for this, you need to be like, Shakespeare presents, Shakespeare exaggerates, Shakespeare exemplifies, Shakespeare suggests, Shakespeare, Shakespeare, Shakespeare. Quote, Shakespeare, quote, Shakespeare, Shakespeare, quote. That is what should be littered throughout your essay. Also, language techniques. So this doesn't have to be too complicated, but you want to add some kind of devices that the writer uses just to bump up your essay. So language, metaphors, similes, personification. If you do Macbeth, rhyme is a good one. That's Stichomythia, is that you pronounce it? Like fast dialogue, that's fun. Pathetic fallacy, anything like that. And then also structure you can use as techniques. So if it starts in media res, but that's more for poetry. Anything like that. You can even just say in little things like at the start of the play, Shakespeare, that structure, because you're talking about the structure of the play, what happens at the start. So that's useful. Do that. That's good. Inferences. For quotes, you can put some in here and there just to kind of boost up your answer, but you need to get some quotes that you actually fully analyse. So pick a quote that you think is quite fruitful, and inferences. 3 inferences is ideal if you can. So pick a quote, what are 3 things you can say about this? And then write it like that, and then try and do that multiple times. It just makes your answer more kind of like your perspective and more detailed, and it'll get you more marks, it'll get you to that top band. And also context, but don't make your essay fully context. It's not history, it's English. But you need a good kind of like 3-4 sentences of context throughout to get, I think it's 6 marks you get to over context, don't quote me on that, to get those marks. So maybe for each paragraph, a sentence of context, maybe. something like that. Just enough context to get those marks, but not too much that it becomes your entire argument, because we don't want that. I think that's it for that. So now I'm just going to read you a paragraph in here that I think has all of that in it, just to show you. So then you can see, I'm not sure if you can read this or not, but that's 33 out of 34, this essay. And so Miss said that it was clearly focused on technique and well developed, which is what we want. But then Mibs that I got was avoid saying throughout the play. So, I mean, I don't know, don't do that, kids. That's been advised against. And also use more tentative language, so like perhaps, could be, suggesting. So again, that's bringing in the writer or the playwright in this case, bringing them in, because they're the ones writing this, they're writing it for a reason, they're inferring, they're whatever. But you can say kind of like could be or perhaps, because you don't know, because we're not the writer. Okay. So the paragraph that I've picked is just one that I think embeds all of this information in. Okay, I've lost it now. Give me a sec. Okay, here it is. I'm just going to read through it, but I'm going to stop at points and then just point out the technique or whatever I've done, which I've mentioned earlier. So, finally, Shakespeare, linked to the writer. Finally, Shakespeare also presents choice as being dictated by supernatural forces and fate. Shakespeare starts the play by introducing the theme of the supernatural and describes the scene with thunder and lightning, quotes. This pathetic fallacy technique implies doom, chaos and tragedy. 1, 2, 3. 3 inferences, really quick. Which we ultimately see due to the choices Macbeth makes. The witches then say, fair is foul and foul is fair, quote. This is a paradox technique, suggesting that things which appear good are actually evil. The meaning of these words being unclear will unnerve the audience, linked to the audience, making them instantly suspicious of the witches. In addition, Shakespeare wrote the witches' lines in trochaic tetrameter technique, which goes against the natural rhythm of speech. This choice by Shakespeare unsettles the audience and portrays the world to be corrupt and twisted with the witches' influence. 1, 2, 3. Significantly, the witches are planning to meet Macbeth, which immediately marks him as vulnerable and subject to the witches' choices and seals his tragic fate. For Jacobean audiences, witches would be very feared and seen as a real threat to society. James I was a witchcraft enthusiast, and so for him the witches would be entirely responsible for Macbeth's fate. One little sentence of context there, just to get it in but not overwhelm it. Hence, Shakespeare presents choice as being controlled by the supernatural forces. So that's just an example, but I mean I think it has pretty much everything you need in there. More than one inference, 3 inferences, quotes, context, language, links to Shakespeare, links to the audience, and also you need to link to your main question. So this question was about choice. So you need the word choice listed all the way through it as well. That's quite important, just to make what you're writing relevant to get you the marks. Okay, been here for 60 minutes. I'm going to stop now. Okay, so thank you for watching if you've made it this far. And if you've got any other video ideas, then please tell me. I mean, I'm thinking about doing the history one next, but not about the paper, but just history content for the Cold War, because it seems people are struggling with it, so I think that would be quite useful for people. Thank you.